This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
CIMC hosts Transport and Infrastructure meeting today. PNG Ports gives update on current projects in the country. And UPNG responds to students' petition. Good evening, you're watching National MTV News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. The Consultative Implementation and Monitoring Council, or CMIC, today hosted the Transport and Infrastructure Sectoral Meeting with the agencies in the transport sector.
The CIMC, through its two mandated mechanisms of hosting annual development forums and conducting quarterly meetings and workshops through the various sectoral committee, held its transport and infrastructural meeting today with agencies in the transport sector. The purpose of the meeting is to re-engage all stakeholders, sharing and learning among all concerned stakeholders, and to develop strategies to address issues affecting the transport sector. Chairing the event was Paul Baca, the Executive Director of Institute of National Affairs.
The Road Transport Authority were not talking to each other, even though sometimes they actually had the offices next door to each other. So sometimes there's a need to encourage responsible parties to be in the room.
The meeting also brought to light the highlights and updates of each of the agencies in the transport sector. Also co-chairing was Wallace Yakam, the Executive Officer of CIMC.
And so it is one of the oldest sectoral committees since 1998 when CIMC was created. And it has been at the forefront in terms of advocating for important things to happen, initiatives. So like Mr. Baca has alluded to, some of those key milestones achieved were like establishment of the National Roads Authority.
The Transport and Infrastructural Sectoral Committee is one of the 11 sectoral committees that was set up in 1999, a year after CIMC was initiated. Tamara Agavi, National MTV News.
PNG Ports Cooperation was also an invitee to the seminar that was hosted by CMIC, giving an update on PNG Ports Cooperation's current service delivery and infrastructural development in the country.
There are currently 23 gazetted wharves and seaports in the country, and 15 are managed by PNG Ports Corporation. However, there are well over 100 ports in the country. Opening the discussion on the transport sector of the sectoral committee, David Peter, the manager for intergovernment relations for PNG Ports Corporation, mentioned the various projects that are currently underway.
Through the governments of Australia and PNG, they signed an agreement for $435 million US dollars for funding for some of those ports that have been identified for rehabilitation and development.
Peter also mentioned the current budget for the ports and the developing partners that are working with the agency.
PSC comprising of all the government agencies, mostly the central government agencies, Department of Transport, PNG Ports, DFET, and the AIFFP.
Tamara Agavi, National MTV News.
Students attending the UPNG School of Medicine and Health Sciences acknowledged the Vice Chancellor, Professor Frank Griffin, for his prompt response to their petition. This is following a sitting protest staged by the students last week in Port Moresby.
Positive outcome for the medical faculty students who protested last week. As you can see here, renovations are currently underway under the directive of the UPNG Vice Chancellor. Students have acknowledged the Vice Chancellor for his prompt response in addressing this issue.
Recently, we've been protesting. And then now, our mess is being renovated. If you go inside, I believe the media personals went inside. They are doing the renovation inside the mess now. The electrician teams are inside there. The plumbing team are inside. They are doing the renovation. So at the moment, okay, our dormitory said, Yaram and SQ, some of the doors that has been broken, worn down, torn away, they are doing the renovation at the moment. So those are some of the changes that we have seen. So at this time, on behalf of the School of Medicine and Health Sciences students, I would like to take this time to thank our good Vice Chancellor for quickly responding to our petition. We gave him the petition on Friday, and Monday we see the construction team working on the petition. So that's one thing that we want to thank the VC for at least a quick response and looking into our issues.
Mr. Saab highlighted that it was a relief for the students as they feel that their voices have been heard for the first time and gave a brief on what has been done under the short-term outcome of the petition.
Which Monday he came and he sat with us and he was outlining all the changes that have come along. As you can see now, this A block is under renovation. Construction companies are working on the renovation now. The mess hall, it's been closed. Once I was a second-year student here, 2019, that's the last time we ate from the mess. And then since then, it's 4 days ago, we reopened the mess and students are eating from the mess. That's a time frame of 4 years. We've never eaten from the mess. Last year, lunch pack.
Saab also alluded that there is also a long-term outcome of the petition and called for action.
The ones are for us to eat in the mess and at least have access to the electricity, the standby genset and the renovation for this. And the long-term ones are the scoping of the school. At least there is to be a total renovation in the school in order for us to go into the standalone university in 2025, which are happening. The scoping things are around the campus. They are doing the scoping. Team doing the scoping in terms of Wi-Fi on the campus, dormitories, staff houses, every other scopings are going on at the moment. So it all comes back to the petition that we wrote to them last week Friday. So that's one thing that we are very happy about.
Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
A Special Economic Zone Foundation Policy consultative workshop was successfully hosted recently by the Ministry and Department of International Trade and Investment and the SEZ Authority. The workshop brought together key agencies and stakeholders to present their cross-sectoral views and comments on the draft SEZ Foundation Policy. This foundation policy presents the first ever national policy intervention to pioneer and guide the formal institution and implementation of the SEZ development program in Papua New Guinea. Foundation policy is developed to address issues such as lack of prior experience and expertise in developing SEZs, unsuccessful past attempts in advancing similar concepts like the free trade zone, industrial parks, and export processing zones, lack of a functional regulatory framework, and lack of full institutional capacity in the SEZA Authority or SEZA and the SEZA Board. Acting Secretary of the Department of International Trade and Investment, Jacinta Warakai Manua, explained that the foundation policy is part of PNG's greater economic reform and growth strategy to harness and transform the economic potential of the nation into appropriate economy of scale and accordingly transform the social welfare and prosperity of the people. The agencies and stakeholders who attended the workshop was the National Trade Office, Departments of Lands and Physical Planning, Treasury and Information and Technology, Lands Commission, PNG Customs Service, PNG Science and Technology Secretariat, Kumul Consolidated Holdings, Kumul Minerals Holdings, Internal Revenue Commission and Telecom Limited. They not only gave their views on the policy, but they also pledged their support to the Ministry and Department of International Trade and Investment and the SEZ Authority in the SEZ journey that PNG is embarking on. National MTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. Welcome back to National MTV News. Chairman of the FOA Association, Johnny Awari, has revealed major impact projects delivered to the LNG Impacted Communities located within Kutubu in Southern Highlands Province and challenged the government to come on board. He made a statement in an exclusive interview with MTV yesterday in Port Moresby.
Known for his popularity as the lead singer in Wame Blood, Johnny Awari, a local from the LNG Impacted Community in Kutubu, Southern Highlands Province, remains focused on leaving no child behind and ensuring that every person has access to quality basic services such as health and education. Entrusted by the MRDC, the FOA Association under the leadership of Mr. Awari have delivered a number of services to the communities.
We need to do something there, and through our association, through our own funds that we have, we've initiated some of the impacted projects that we have built so far. And so far we've built more than 5, 6, 7 classrooms and staff house, not in one particular school, but different 4, 5 different schools. And and also we've donated genset and ambulance to health centers.
For Mr. Awari, it is all about giving back to the community.
As a leader, I can't just sit back and see, ignore the importance of our people going through. And in what little way I have, in a small influence, I can bring difference. It's not about me trying to be somebody or trying to become politicians or no. It's about giving back to the community, and I feel happy by doing that.
Regardless of the fact that Kutubu is the country's first oil project discovered since 1986, lack of access to quality basic services remain a challenge to date.
Most of the schools there, but now it's run down, and there's not really a basic government service around the place there. I don't know why, for some reasons. So it's really challenging for us, the community there as well, the kids there walking distance, going to another school from another place, and also from the end of the lake to the other side. So they have to pedal through canoe, Dagat canoe to go to the school and then return, so it's very tough for them.
According to Mr. Awari, the 4-in-1 steel structure classroom cost about 1.5 million kina. The opening of the classroom will take place next month as they await some approvals from the Department of Works. Sharon Engnui, National MTV News.
Telecom Limited yesterday opened 2 kiosks in Southern Highlands Province as part of its sales strategy in reaching out to the Upper Highlands. One kiosk was opened in Walum in Imbongo District and the other at Yelebu Station in Yelebu Pangia District.
Senior representatives from the 2 district administrations were present to receive the state-owned company representatives, indicating their appreciation for the telecommunication services. Head of Highlands Region, Pen Power, did the honors in cutting the ribbon, marking the opening of the kiosks on behalf of Telecom Limited. People of Imbongo and Yelebu Pangia will now have access to telecom services and products, including cheaper internet, call rates, and mobile phones. Mr. Power said the opening of the kiosk in Imbongo and Yelebu was also timely for the new Western Pacific University and other government departments established in the 2 districts. Meanwhile, the man behind the efforts in setting up the kiosks in the province, Southern Highlands Sales and Marketing Manager Dominic Roy, encouraged the people to start subscribing.
When them lilik money where you spend him Telecom, I'm come back again, help me black again. So Telecom may be owned by people of Papua New Guinea. Now, you blow Yalibu Yedolim. Now, any communication company blowing you me. So, any come inside, Lord is time long, at least at this time where technology and me go on up, now I can save him. People blow me blow Yalibu.
The people of Yalibu were told that they had one of the largest telecom towers which had been upgraded to 4G network, which means effective communication and high-speed internet services was already at their doorsteps, including cheaper call rates and charges. Sales and Marketing Manager for Western Highlands, Nikin Han, also took time to clarify that such services provided the platform for investors and other services. He said stakeholders like government departments that needed assistance can always go to Telecom Highlands Regional Headquarters in Mount Hagen City to lodge their queries for assistance.
So the diplomas clear lo one network company mi blogam set up na continue long look out him na mi blog partner sem one time DDA one time Ausik na lo police too.
The kiosk at Yalibu is located within Yalibu Pangia District Office area, while Walum Kiosk is located in Imbongu District Office area. 2 more kiosks are planned to be opened in Mendi Town and Pangia Station as well, with plans to reach out to Kagua Erave and Nipa Kutubu soon. Amanda Ilaitia, National MTV News.
A corruption fighter, Alexa Wesa, is calling on the leaders of the Southern Highlands province and the people to work together and take the province forward. He said all the leaders must put their differences aside and help the people of Southern Highlands prosper.
While Awesa has congratulated the governor on his recent success on the court's ruling on the election petition, he says he would like to see the leaders work together, where he is happy to work side by side with the governor.
Mr. Powell has made the right call, whether he won rightfully or wrongfully. The court has made its decision, and so, like I said, we have limited time, so for the benefit of the people and the innocent people back at home, I'm willing to work together with them and from a distance work together with them, Mr. Powell and the other leaders that he has called his name, Joe Koppel, Bennett, Kafu, and Winston Rapper.
He said in regards to the election petition between the governor, William Powie, and Peter Nupiri, there is nothing he can do now that the governor is in charge.
For Mr. Peter Nupiri, he's just finished from a recent court battle, so I'm sure he'll make his position clear in the next couple of weeks, and whether he is willing to join the team as per the call of Mr. Powie, or if he's seeking for other legal avenues, whether he goes for 3-man Supreme Court bench review again of the 1-man Supreme Court decision. That's his prerogative, so I can't comment for him, but for me, I'm willing to lend a hand from a distance, but like I say, I would love to see these suggestions on the procurement services and the financial management system be strengthened, so that I feel comfortable to working with the Power administration, because I am an advocate for corruption, and that's what I stood for. So.
But Awesa says he would rather like to see the leaders work together to make Southern Highlands a better place for all. Godwin Eki, National MTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2750 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, Yukina was buying $0.2675 $0.4121 Australian dollars, $0.2436 euro, 39.33 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed lower, copra closed higher, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, copper closed lower. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National MTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National MTV News. Discussions based on the transport and infrastructural sector in the country was the main area discussed today during CMIC's Transport and Infrastructural Sectorial Committee meeting. Rural Airstrip Agency is also one of the stakeholders that were present during the meeting.
The Rural Airstrip Agency is a not-for-profit organization that was created as an interim of the PNG government statutory body and was established as a subsidiary of the Mission Aviation Fellowship. The main purpose of the RAA is to conduct maintenance and restoration of rural airstrips in the country. Kim Rose Opiti, the current Chief Executive Officer for the Rural Airstrip Agency, was also present during the meeting to give updates on the current projects.
Operations in terms of the two programs that we currently run. So, RAA has visited a little over 398 currently in its program, and those are basically the DDAs that still partner with us. So currently we have about 10 MOAs that we currently have, just to name a few. We've got South Bougainville, we've got Enga, we've got Jimmy, Kikori, PNG STP that does all of Western Province, Goilala, Namatanai, Teleformin, Wawaria, that's a new district, Komohulia is a...
Opiti further elaborated on the funds that are allocated to RAA for their projects.
Partners that we work with, we have ILO, which is the International Labour Organization. We're still currently working on for documentation in terms of progress with that project. It's about a 4.2 million with 5 airstrips in the CPICs, 2 in the West CPIC and 3 in the West CPIC, East CPIC. We have carry program that is coming up. We've just recently completed the conversation with them in terms of the mission.
She also highlighted some of the challenges that are faced by RAA.
I'm there on my toes trying to make sure that my men come back safely. The most recent thing that happened was, so we had the restoration team that was at Room, and the fight was happening at Wapenamanda.
Tamara Agavi, National MTV News.
National MTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The National Gaming Control Board Fight Night, which is set to take place on the 14th of October, has been officially launched today.
According to Marianne Milley, the Managing Director for Oceania Fight Promotion, the fight will be staged at Hideaway Hotel in Port Moresby. Milley said there will be a lineup of 11 local undercard bouts, 2 female and 9 male bouts, which will see these boxers showcase their incredible skills. The fight will also feature 2 of our local boxers in the light and featherweight divisions go against 2 international boxers from the Philippines. Local boxer Kara will go up against Estela in the 61 kg lightweight division, and Mauta, also a local boxer, will take on Philippines Agalo in the 55 kg featherweight division. Milley added, the lineup of all local boxers have already been finalized and they are all looking forward to the fight night, and further explains their preparations prior to the fight. Young local boxer Theodora Janget from a mixed parentage of Simbu Southern Islands and Isipik Province said a boxing career began last year and it is something new she has stepped into. Janget said, although this is a male-dominated sport,
she is happy to be a part of it and thank their mom for always supporting her in a sporting career. Gladys Gila, True Kai Sports.
A total of 12 teams, 6 Papua New Guinea teams and 6 Australia teams will be participating in the Prime Minister's 13 rugby games that will be held in Port Moresby this weekend. The last Prime Minister's 13 rugby match was held in 2018.
This year's Prime Minister's 13 rugby matches in Port Moresby will see a total of 6 teams from the Australia contingent, including the schoolboys and girls rugby team, the women's team and the Australian Army rugby team, including their national rugby team, who will be challenging the PNG Kumuls and 5 other PNG teams this weekend. In a press conference yesterday, Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League representative Paul Joseph said this year's Prime Minister's 13 rugby games will be different.
This year is a bit different. We've got a total of 12 teams, 6 from within the country and 6 arriving from Australia. So apart from the main 2 teams, which is the senior men's and senior women's teams participating, we've got Australian school boys and girls, and for the first time as well, we've got the Defence Force, both ADF women, men's and women, taking on our PNGDF men's and women.
Paul Joseph gave the highlights of the programs set for the Papua New Guinea and Australian contingent to take part during this weekend. He also said the Australian contingent will also pay a visit to the Bomana War Cemetery on Friday afternoon.
We have the League Beyond Life, that's a PNG NRL program that will be hosted by our team here at the National Football Stadium. So again, the teams will be transported from Stanley Hotel to the stadium, where they will do the captain's run as well as participate in that program. And then they're doing an afternoon visit to the Bomana War Cemetery. And then Saturday, which will be the match day 1. So we have 3 games. We have the ADF women taking on our PNGDF women at 12 o'clock. And at 2 o'clock is the PM's 13 senior women's, Australia against PNG. And 4 o'clock we have the main match between our Prime Minister's 13 Australia taking on our PNG team at 4 o'clock. And Sunday we have 3 more games. We have the Australian schoolgirls taking on our junior orchids at 12 o'clock. At 2 o'clock the Australian schoolboys will take on our PNG Junior Kumuls, and at 4 o'clock we have the Defence Force, the men's games between ADF and PNGDF to finish the event for this weekend.
In the meantime, a massive crowd of passionate fans and supporters gathered at Jackson's Airport today to extend a heartfelt welcome to the Australian rugby contingent. The arrival of the 6 Australian rugby football teams to participate in the highly anticipated Prime Minister's 13 rugby match scheduled for this weekend. Louis Maingu, True Kai Sports.
The Rugby World Cup witnessed a scintillating finish for the Italian side despite Uruguay's successful lead in the first half of the match. The Italian side came out winners at the final hota with 38 points to Uruguay 17.
The Rugby Union World Cup match between Italy and Uruguay saw the 2 teams play equally strong minutes into the first half.
From left to right for the first time in this World Cup, Italy wear their home jersey.
But having mastered their opponent's move in the first half, Uruguay went ahead to score their first try with conversion successful.
But at the line out more now, collapsing as they drive over.
Minutes later, Uruguay scored their second try.
Arata, there's the hands, I get in the corner!
As they built their momentum, Uruguay again scored their third, but Italy soon after returned the favour. Slowly, Italy, after positioning themselves in the field, gained extra momentum to run past the Uruguay side to score a few more tries, eventually taking the lead.
To stop there from close range.
Despite a great start from the Uruguay side, Italy took the lead towards the back end of the match to walking away victorious with 38 points to 17 at the final huta. Godwin Eki, Trukai Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region: Port Moresby City, windy with overnight patchy rain. Daru, mostly fine. Kerema, patchy rain. Alatau, possible patchy rain. Popondetta, rain at times. In the Mumasa region, Ley City, few overnight showers. Madang, partly cloudy. Wewak, possible patchy rain. Vanimo, few showers. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, few showers. Kavang, brief showers. Kokopo and Rabaul, possible brief showers. Kimbe, windy with possible brief showers. Buka, some showers and possible thunderstorms. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen City, patchy rain, then morning fog. Goroka and Kundiawa, partly cloudy, then morning fog. Mendi and Wabek, patchy rain, then morning fog.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Thursday, the 21st of September 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.